Good evening and welcome. Marcella McBride here, figuring out, as usual, how to share. So hang with me for a moment while I click around. So tonight is the fourth day. Hang with me a moment. So tonight is the fourth day. Hang with me a moment. So tonight, this is so trippy. Ooh, there it goes again. So tonight, this is okay, cool. I don't know about this reverberation tripped out thing that's happening. Maybe it's the hurricane hitting North Carolina this week, but the timing on doing this 8-part series has been pretty awesome. So welcome. This is day 4 of my 8-part series on the Mystic Priestess path of awakening and soul purpose for women who feel the call to be of service with their gifts. And I felt inspired this week. I awoke with the inspired idea to go through this 8-part series to discuss the 8 pillars that are the core foundational structure for the path that I teach through a 9-month immersive process. And so today is day 4. Hi, Debbie. Thank you for the laughter. When you figure out the reverberation thing, let me know. But hey, it makes it very mystical start, doesn't it? So tonight is actually an auspicious evening to be discussing connection to Mother Nature, because here in North Carolina, we're experiencing a hurricane. And it touched down just yesterday, depending on where in the Carolinas, or North and South Carolina. It's also going to be affecting Georgia as well. And this is a very passionate topic for me, the conversation around connection to the natural world. And so welcome. I hope that you've been listening to this series, getting lots of juicy tidbits. Each evening has been very inspiring. We started with talking about treating our bodies as a temple of the divine with deep love and care, and how much our lives would change if we did that on a regular basis, the first pillar. The second pillar, we talked about setting energetic boundaries in our lives as a necessity as spiritually gifted, empathic, heart-based women, to learn how to set boundaries in the spiritual, energetic realm as well as the physical realm with the people in our lives. Super important work. And then the third pillar that we jumped into last night was the discussion around seeing our relationships as catalysts for our personal growth. And each one of those videos I share some of my own personal experience as well as a teaching point, some examples to help you understand the concepts and how it applies to our daily lives, our modern lives, and also a bit of an assignment at the end of each process. So if you've been following these videos but you might have missed one, I'm posting as many as I can through my business page, but also hop over to the best place to get them all is Temple of the Mystic Priestess, which is a private group that I have for women awakening to their deeper purpose and destiny and wanting to be part of this conversation. So check that out if you have not. So tonight, we're diving into pillar number 4, which I like to read these as they came through to me, as the wind is starting to pick up outside with a very mysterious breeze. So pillar number 4, the Mystic Priestess path. I'm deeply connected to nature, and I trust her and myself to cultivate this communion on a daily basis. I love and respect the earth as the divine mother within and without. I heal my relationship with the feminine for myself, for my divine mission, and for the world. So there's so much wrapped up in this, and I'd like to start with a little story of how I grew up. I don't share a whole lot of my own personal journey of stepping into this work unless you're part of the 9-month immersive process. A lot of stories organically come through about how this work has awakened within me and stepping onto this path, and how that might inform you and inspire you for your own, following your destiny and deeper purpose. So I, just this spring, have returned back to the foothills of North Carolina where I grew up. And this is sacred land that has a deep and rich history, a lot of a Native American connection here. A lot of mountain people lived here after that were pioneers, that grew their own food and raised their own animals and built their homes from materials from the land, bathed in the creek and drank water from the spring. And turns out that's the way I got to grow up. So back in the late 60s, early 70s, my parents joined a community of people who were all coming out of the 60s revolution and had strong opinions about the way things were unfolding in our society. And they wanted to do something different. They wanted to create a community where we could do just that I described. We bought property together and raised our own food, had our own animals, built our homes by hand, and in large part before electricity came along to us, which was not until I was a teenager. So think building homes without power tools. So everything was manual, by hand, old farm raising style in community. So we all built our homes together with materials directly from the land. This included wood that was gathered and harvested and milled on site, as well as rocks from the creek to build our chimney that held the fire, that warmed our home. And for me as a child, the reason I share this is because that's really where, for me, my spiritual path, my shamanic path started, was growing up as a barefoot little girl running around in this open field of wildflowers, bathing in the creek spring through fall, without electricity, out of choice, having solar power to eventually heat our hot water and to run then what would be regular light bulbs that you enjoy having regular electricity. And the ladies that got to come to the July retreat got to come here. And all the women that have up to this point been part of my immersion program have come here for the retreat. So they've got to experience this sacred land. And so this component of being connected to the natural world, I believe, is so critical for us in our modern times, because we're largely growing up in mostly urban developments. For many people, I think of children that are growing up in a lot of like a concrete jungle, not having a lot of connection to the natural world. And it creates a different experience of life. And I believe in this path is about awakening the magic and mystery that lives in all things again, especially in the natural world. And so I'll give you an example here. Just last week, it was a beautiful, balmy night, and I try every day to go out on a long walk on the property and immerse myself in the water. It's deeply healing, cleansing, detoxifying. And this evening, I went out for my second walk of the evening, of the day, and went out in the big open field down below, walking through big, beautiful open field of wildflowers, just like I said. And the mist was starting to form as the night was falling. And because it's still warm enough up here, there were fireflies still firing in the trees, very, very dark sky, no artificial light, the sky full of stars. And as I walked, and so this starts to happen towards the end of summer as the fireflies die, and it's a bittersweet, sad, and magical moment all at the same time. As they're dying at night, they light up in the grass. So literally as I'm walking, the mist is enveloping me. The sky is full of stars. There's a warm breeze on my skin. And as I'm walking, these fireflies are lighting up around my feet in the grass. It was pure magic. I felt like in that moment, that's exactly what I'm talking about. There's a special connection that when we reawaken this again, as we have known as children, I believe this is innate within us to be connected to the natural world, Kids want to be outside. They want to be playing, in large part before video games came along. That's what we wanted to do. That's what we did all the time. And it fuels us. It fills us up. I believe, the Native Americans truly believe we are an extension of the earth herself, that there is no separation. And the mystic path is about reawakening that connection again as well. That's so critically important, that we lose living in an urban environment where there's always lights on, and in large part walking in shoes on concrete, from building to car to building to car, in large part. And there's a natural detoxification that happens and communication when we walk barefoot on the earth. Key number one, I would say, for your follow-up assignment from tonight is to walk barefoot on the earth tonight or tomorrow if you can, and just tune in to how much magic can I feel in this moment? How could I feel this deep connection to the natural world that exists for me in every moment that I'm an extension of? And what's possible if I were to awaken that more? And not only just like the vitality we feel when we're hiking in nature and in a beautiful scene. And I really believe that when we're viewing beauty of the greens and blues, all the natural colors of the natural world, it's literally detoxifying and healing our bodies from the inside out. There's something about being in the natural world and visibly seeing it and viscerally feeling it that is hard to replicate with anything else. And so another component of this is, and I really believe, as the Native Americans do, that Mother Earth is the feminine component, Father Sky is the masculine component. So when I'm leading guided visualizations with women, especially we do a grounding visualization before doing any powerful process together. And it's about leading them through the process of connecting powerfully to the core of the earth. And with that, sending love and compassion and gratitude to her because of the life that she sustains for us. She's literally giving us life. And we live in a culture that does not recognize or honor her openly in that way. And I think it's a tremendous disservice to this amazing planet that we live on, that we've been gifted this lifetime to experience, that it's not part of our common practice, in large part for most people, to give gratitude to her. And so the Native American, one of the traditions of one of the Native American tribes that I studied and was part of a community of, and did sweat lodges and medicine ceremonies and learned a lot of lodge songs and traditions of the Lakota people. And one of the things that I learned through that process was every day, and Robbie Warren teaches specifically the Native American path, and a good sister and soul sister of mine. And every morning she gives a gift of tobacco to the earth and says, thank you. Thank you, Pachamama, as they say in Latin America, the native shamans there. Thank you, dear mother, for the life that you give us. And so I'd like to bring that to the table tonight. When was the last time that you did that? And what would be possible if you could be in gratitude every day for this earth that gives us life? And I believe that it's connected to the disconnection we've created in our society from the feminine principle, within ourselves and within our connection to the natural world. And how that shows up, I think that the disconnection from the feminine principle can be linked to every problem we're facing on the planet at this time. Every single one. It came to me in meditation one day, and all of a sudden I could see like the links of a chain, or the webs of a spider web all locking into place. Like, oh my gosh, that is the core of it. That's what I stand for. That's what I'm going to commit my life force to, is to heal the disconnection of the feminine. Because the sacred feminine, the feminine face of God, of the divine source of all creation, has been in hiding for a very long time, because it was not safe to outwardly express love for her. It wasn't safe for us as priestesses to give divine reverence to her. And it shows up in our disconnection within ourselves, from our feelings, from our deeper heart, from our purpose, from the love that exists in all things that created us. We're created out of divine love itself, the communion of masculine and feminine within. And then that being connected to the natural world and reawakening that mystical aspect that we really knew as children. Again, it's within us. It never went away. It's just gone into hiding because our logical mind comes online when we get older, and we start to discount the feeling of that connection. We start to not give it as much value. We don't place as much value on it, and so it's kind of talked out of us. And as a society, and as we learn more and more through school, we focus more on the linear logical aspect of things. We get so focused on our education and what we know, when in large part is memorizing a bunch of information that we don't end up using, which is why our school systems are getting a major revamp right now, as they need to be. But we get so focused on learning and education and knowing stuff that we forget what we already know intuitively in our souls and our hearts, and this connection to the natural world, and that therefore the extension of the sacred feminine. I believe, especially for us as women, and absolutely men as well, because the feminine exists in all things, especially as women in this context with the priestess path, it's innate to us. It's natural to who we are. So when we deny that and we're not giving it the attention that it needs, it shows up in disconnection from what we really want, from who we are, from our ability to express ourselves with love and compassion, to express our feelings, our ability to live a passionate life that's engaged and connected to our destinies and our deeper purpose. It shows up in our bodies creating circumstances to have us pay attention to it better, that show up specifically as illness and disease and conditions that are trying to grab our attention and say, wake up, beloved, you live in this amazing body temple. You've been gifted this lifetime, and it is your natural state to be connected to the natural world, to be in love with the natural world in a very sensual way. And it's one way that I connect with the pagan earth-based people, primarily of Western Europe, which is part of where my lineage line comes from, the shamanic aspect, is they really saw the earth as this fiery, engaged, like Pele here that you see in the back, the goddess of fire, the volcano of Hawaii, seeing her with fierceness and vitality and sensuality and this powerful life force that they honored. And they, each equinox and solstice, they celebrated her. They gave gratitude to her. And Beltane, every spring, they would have a fertility celebration to give thanks for the harvest that would then be coming, and that spring had returned again, and that life force had come back to the planet through the spring flowers and bounty in the gardens, and it was a celebration. And that was a big disservice when we lost that, in large part through organized religion that taught us to be disconnected from the earth, disconnected from the body, disconnected from the feminine. All of that's the same. And with that, then disconnection from God, goddess, the divine, because then the belief was, oh, no. God is an internal mystical experience that you can connect to directly yourself, not through a priest or a priestess or a church. Your own direct connection, that's not okay. That's too edgy, that's too empowering. So we're going to take God out of you and teach you then for the next 2,000 years that God is an external experience outside of you, only in masculine form, and that can only be accessed through one way of being and thinking. So if that's working for you, awesome. Does it work for me? And it doesn't work for a lot of people that I talk to, and for all the women that I'm serving, it doesn't work for, because it is incredibly damaging to have that perspective, I believe, when you take the divine source of all creation that created us and take it out of us, make it projected out and often onto a saint or ascended master or someone that they're the only ones that could have that divine connection, not me. Who am I to have that? This path is about reawakening that within you that is your direct source and divine connection. So, beloveds, I'm going to see who's here with me. Hi, Malia. Yes, 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 absolutely. Malia's awesome goddess doing her own soul work in the world. And Debbie's here. Hi. And Julie. Julie has a beautiful place that I look forward to visiting up on the Parkway. Just recently connected, so I'm excited about that. And Angela's here. Awesome. Just jumped into the Priestess path. So exciting. So there's probably other people connecting in through the temple page and I can't visibly see, because if I try to see both, I'll reverberate back and forth. So I finally figured that out. So I hope that this has been an inspiration to you tonight. Oh, the other piece I wanted to share about the hurricane too. So my opinion on natural disasters, you know, and I talked about this on one of my regular weekly Tuesday temple talks on the temple page recently, that, you know, the earth is doing what the earth does. She's just doing what she does based on the natural climate conditions that are happening in the cosmos that make rain and sometimes dry and sometimes green and sometimes desert, and depending on where you are in the world, I believe she's just doing what she does. We just happen to be here to experience it. So if there's a way to not have this perception that the hurricane is pounding and creating death and destruction all over the coast, then it maybe ask the question, is that where someone should be living anyway? I mean, as humans, we're overpopulating the planet and we're using the Earth's natural resources at an alarming rate. And that's something we've got to wake up to, because this is a finite planet. We're utilizing resources faster than they can be replaced. And we're now facing massive climate change. And even if you don't fully believe in that, you can just look at the fact of the amount of bottled water that's being put on the shelves now. Why is it that our water needs to be filtered to be drunk? For most of us growing up, we drank out of the tap because the water was clean enough to drink. So that's a big sign right there. And how many skies are so polluted that people have to wear masks or getting asthma and lung conditions, lung cancer, because the air is getting polluted. So we have to kind of pull back some of the perceptions of what's happening and take a very clear look at what is actually going on here and how can I be of service to healing the planet by the personal choices that I make every day. I'm a huge advocate of carrying a water bottle and a reusable coffee mug everywhere you go, because think about the millions of throwaway coffee cups that are used every morning. Just in our culture, we're the most throwaway society of any other culture on the planet, because in large part, most other places serve things in real, like in a real cup and saucer. I remember that for the first time being in Europe back in, I was like 20 the first time I went. And I was riding from London to Paris through the tunnel, I think it's called. That goes under the water. Amazing experience. And we stopped at a gas station to get gas. And I remember ordering a coffee, and we sat down and drank it right there in this adorable little garden on the side of the highway out of a real China cup. I was like, whoa, what a dramatically different experience than pulling up at a gas station with a paper cup and getting, you know, the frightening coffee that most, you know, it's much better now. It used to be really bad gas station coffee instead. So it actually creates a dramatically different experience when you're actually drinking out of especially clay, which is from the earth. There's something electromagnetic that happens there. So if there's some simple things you can do right now to give back to the earth, is to carry your own water bottle and coffee mug everywhere you go. And just think of the number of plastic bottles and throwaway coffee cups that are being thrown away every single day because of this kind of just natural cultural thing that we've become accustomed to. It's dramatic. It's a lot. And those things don't break down and they don't recycle very well. And even though plastic is recyclable, the process of recycling plastic is very toxic. So that's one of my soapboxes that I'm very passionate about, and being a hippie child that grew up in the mountains of North Carolina, which I will gladly accept now, even though I rejected that label for a very long time. Now that I've returned as an adult and I'm walking barefoot back on this land and immersing in this gorgeous water, and I get to bring women up to this sacred place to have transformational experiences, I'm in deep honor and gratitude and reverence for being here. And then I get to extend that out to you. So the wood you see behind me was harvested from this land and built this home about 30 years ago. So sacred blessings of the earth and deep connection to the sacred feminine to you tonight. See if you can put those beautiful feet of yours on the earth tonight or tomorrow or very soon before you forget, at least over the weekend, ideally. And try something different. If you're feeling the power of the hurricane with the winds and the rain, if you're in a safe area, really ask yourself the question, am I really in danger here? Some people are genuinely in danger, I get that. We haven't gotten the force of the hurricane yet here in the foothills, but if you can, just try standing outside, opening your arms, closing your eyes, and feel the powerful force of Mother Nature and what she's doing right now. Feel the power and breathe it into your cells. Let it energize your energy body. Let it remind you of the power that you carry within yourself that can move mountains, create massive change because of the dream and vision that lives in your heart that is your destiny, that's begging to come through. And if you feel like it's your time and this is resonating with you, listen to this full 8-part series and consider jumping in to join this 9-month immersive initiatory rebirthing process for women that I lead every year, September to May. And this is a very powerful year to jump in because we start in the oldest mountains in the world, literally, Hot Springs, North Carolina. And the ladies get to be initiated on the newest earth that's just been formed through Goddess Pele on the big island of Hawaii. This is a very exciting year to jump in. I don't know if I'll be able to do this particular scenario again because it's right here and right now. So reach out to me if you feel like it's time for you to join this amazing group of women that have said yes. And post here below what golden nugget you got from tonight's talk, what stirred within you, what awakened, and what's something that you would like to activate for yourself to reawaken this connection to the natural world. Thank you for being here. Much love and blessings, and enjoy the power of the force of Mother Nature as she is expressing herself right now. Ta-ta. See you tomorrow night. Stay tuned for 4 more pillars leading up until next Tuesday. Bye for now.